Thank you for joining today's LinkedIn Live with Camilla Olson, CEO and founder of Savitude. Here is your host, Deborah Weinswig, CEO and founder of Coresight Research.
Thanks so much, Mara. And we're very excited today to be going through our second Innovator Profile LinkedIn Live. I am very honored to have with us today Camilla Olson, CEO and founder of Savitude. As a serial entrepreneur, Camilla founded two predictive modeling companies that resulted in a successful IPO and a large early buyout. She then took her analytical and business expertise and her recently acquired MFA in fashion design, and with her classmate, launched a fashion label where they experimented with solving the fit problems, which many of us in the retail industry are all too familiar with, or really any of us who buy clothes. Realizing there is this, kind of connection between fit, shape, returns, right? And as all of us are focusing on sustainability and spoke recently with Navjeet Newmine on our first LinkedIn Live, this excess inventory issue also tends to be tied to, right, incorrect fit. So Camilla really spearheaded, Savitude to fix the fashion industry challenge of designing clothes for just one body shape. Camilla, can you please introduce, first of all, thank you for being here today. And can you please introduce us to Savitude and just a little bit more about the company?
Thanks, Deborah. I'm delighted to be here. It's very exciting for us here. Savitude is a young company, and we think of ourselves as fashion's ideation engine for brands, retailers, and designers. Our design studio ideates and analyzes designs to sell more clothes that delight customers. We're a digital design solutions provider, and our software lets designers, one, create personalized designs based on more than 700 body types. And second thing is that we incorporate different trends, inspirations, and body types simultaneously while designing. And the last thing we do is it speeds up the design process at least 4 weeks. And we do so while letting designers do what they do best. That means be creative with their strong aesthetics. So, and then for the first time ever, we add in analytics to the design process to assess like body type coverage or adherence to brand DNA. So our SaaS, easy to use, cloud-based platform is ideal for on-demand customer co-creation and celebrity or influence collaborations. So it's really future fashion.
Well, it's interesting on that future fashion, right? And this whole kind of C to M, right? Customer to manufacturer, and thinking about waste and sustainability. How do you think about the market opportunity? How big is this?
Well, in the fashion apparel space, I think of it of about an $81 billion marketplace, and about $33 billion of it is in the on-demand space, consumer co-creation. Outside of that, I think it's a much larger space if we move into the consumer economy, because I think there's a lot we can do in other spaces to revolutionize how other things are done as well, like in costuming and changing how branding's done, getting rid of, branded t-shirts and graphic tees and that sort of thing. I think we can really, raise the level of design in so many ways and express branding in a lot of ways. So I think we're really expanding how design is being done. And I think of it kind of as a designer employment technology.
I love that, especially in this environment. How, as you looked at, kind of the existing technological landscape and, started to formulate this solution, what did you see was missing?
Well, that's a little bit of a roundabout story, but I'll get to it as fast as I can. We started out, I started the company with my longtime friend, Nick Clayton, who is a friend from Palo Alto. And we initially started out with a recommendation technology. And even with an 11% lift, what we realized that there was a problem with the technology. And that was that what we found is that there were lots of pockets of people where there were no clothes to recommend for them. And that was because nobody had designed clothes for them. And so while we were happy with the 11%, we weren't satisfied with the performance we weren't, all the end users weren't happy. And what we realized was that the problem, the fit problem, really originated in the design studio. And being a designer, I figured out that we could solve it. So we went back into the design studio and went back and decided that we could repurpose what we had already built to create the design technology going forward.
And as we think about, right, the future of design with, kind of digital design and, shorter lead times and, to me, right, 2020 really ignited so much of the supply chain and exactly the, problem that you're trying to address. What did you see if we look back at 2020 and now in 21, how have retailers and vendors, how are they changing their mindset, especially as it relates to Savitude?
Well, I'm seeing a much more openness to what we're doing, and I realized that we've been working on this recommendation technology, and I realized that people just weren't interested in that, and why I don't know, but because there has great merit to it. But it came to be that it wasn't us. It seemed like it was like everybody, that people weren't interested in bringing in technology solutions, and they just wanted to stick with the technology players that they had. And so my conclusion is that in order to get in that game, you got to partner with other technology people. But they are realizing that they need to be more profitable, and they really need to change how fashion is being done today. So looking back on where we were while we had, revolutionary new ideas and that sort of thing, we were playing in the playing the same game, and I think they really wanted to look at how can we improve our business in a way that made sense. Not the H3 kind of change in business, but what can we do to actually help our customers, help ourselves make more money, and serve the planet in a reasonable way. And I think people were struggling with that and wanting to find that kind of solution. I think on-demand manufacturing solves that. Consumer co-creation solves that. And that's why I think what we're doing resonates with that.
Well, it's interesting, right? If we go back to the beginning of 20, I felt that we were having many conversations on sustainability for sustainability's sake, right? To just kind of check a box. And then as we move through, I want to say, I feel like the conversation started to change in May of 20, where it was really sustainability for profitability's sake. How, as we think about the problem that Savitude is solving, how have your conversations, changed as, Savitude really does, kind of solve part of the issue around sustainability, especially if we think about, kind of less waste, clothes that people love, and, kind of all other aspects of supply chain.
Yeah. So here's the thing is that we have so many stories that we could tell. And for a while, we were talking about sustainability as a key. So it depends on who we're talking, to be honest with you. And I'm hoping nobody's listening to this. But it depends who we're talking to. Do we talk about sustainability, right? Because otherwise, we're telling too many reasons and nobody's paying any attention. You got to target your message. So when somebody, because we were going after sustainability, and that didn't work out so well. People don't want to be sold on a sustainability story, period, because they smell a rat, even though if you do, even it happens, even if it's a genuine story, that's just not what they want to hear. So what I find is they really want to solve a business problem. And if they come to the story, it's kind of like you have to let them come to the conclusion. If they come to the conclusion that it's a sustainability win, then that's good.
Well, there have been a lot of challenges around telling that aspect of the story. And so it's like you get this great solution and it happens to, have a sustainable element, I think is fantastic. As we look ahead to this year, what are some of the key features that you plan to add to the solution? And, how will we continue to see Savitude grow and evolve?
Yeah, so we have a couple of key things coming along. We have one big technology improvement coming in about 2 months. So right now, our technology goes through the motions of what a fashion designer does, but we do it a whole lot faster. So we help them iterate through ideas and very quickly. So we save the exhaustion there and save a lot of save a lot of the planet. There's a huge sustainability story there. But what we are coming up with is where we can automatically also create new design details from inspirational images. And so that's going to be very exciting when we can do that, because that's when we can move into the marketing applications in a much more interesting way. I don't want to do that so much in fashion, but I think in the marketing side and co-branding, there will be a lot of very interesting business building opportunities there with that technology. And also the other thing we were doing is we're looking for a partner to build the enterprise version of our technology now.
Do you find that who are you typically engaging with in an organization? What title do they have, or what role, or what problem are they trying to solve?
That's one thing we're sorting through now. So we're in the startup boot camp in Milan, in the Milan program with Prada and Valentino and Accenture as partners. So we're very excited about that. So we're working with the folks around that team to come up with our use cases so we can figure out exactly what is the story. Because, if you can figure out how to approach luxury, you've pretty much figured it out. So we've figured out our three cases, and they're really centered around merchandising and design, but it's not obviously, if you were dealing with luxury, it is not in the design studio with their collection, right? They know what they're doing there. But it's elsewhere. There are lots of places outside of that where we really add great value to the organization.
Well, you talk a little bit about this co-creator idea, and I think that's what we've seen has really gained some steam. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So, for example, here in the luxury sense, so we can set up rules, right, that typically are used to create a collection. But once a designer has created a collection, she can set some limits around that, and that then could be sent out to, say, the boutique, so that customers could work within that and create a customized version of that, a personalized version for herself. So that would be on the luxury side. And that would be, I think, a really wonderful application for luxury, because it really saves the designer. Designer could really basically is cloning him or herself. On the and it works the same way, but obviously on a much more lower lower price point elsewhere on the e-commerce side. So we're working with Gerber Technology in their innovation center in New York as a front end to in their new line where they can go from the buy button to finished goods in an hour. So we help customers be able to come to choices that work for their body shape, so that if you're going to do something that's personalized, you want to be happy with it. You don't want returns. And so we can help them with the decision making, and also with looking at different choices.
That sounds incredibly exciting. So I'm going to ask you one last question. As you look ahead beyond, kind of 21, where do you think, kind of, whether it's, in the luxury end or, kind of opening price point, how do you think we continue to see things change in the world of fashion and design?
I think it's going to move much more into the consumer hands. I've just done some research. I mean, looking at your research, the report you just came out on private label really stimulated some thinking. So I did a quick study over the weekend on SurveyMonkey, looking to see whether consumers, how open they were to doing their own creation. And I think it's going to be moving more in that direction. So yeah, we want to be there to help her do that.
Couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Camilla. You heard it here first. Camilla Olson from Savitude, as she's really kind of laying the foundation, not only in the luxury sector, but truly overall. And as we're having many of these conversations around inclusive design, Camilla really is a true expert. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. All the best in 21.